Welcome back to La Bolla. This episode is all about the last two substantial planting areas that we're doing here.
This is the parking area that Sally and I have built just to the northern part of the house itself. And the idea for the parking area is that if people come down with a motorhome, or we advertise for a motorhome for sort of maybe 1 or 2 night stops, people can park the motorhome on the parking area. It's about 8 meters long and 3 and a bit meters wide, so I've got lots of space. But part of the making it as a motorhome parking area is obviously to plant plants that make it nice for when people come, so it's not just a parking area. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Sally, who's now going to tell you about what we've done.
Pete and I identified a patch between 2 olive trees by the house that we had sufficient space without affecting the olive harvest to put some plants in right by what will be a camping van area. And the whole idea, well, there's 2 ideas behind this area here. One is so that people don't have to look straight at our septic tank, our IMOF, which isn't very pretty. Luckily it doesn't smell, but nonetheless it's not something that we want people to have to look at day in, day out. And the other reason is, as cars drive along this road, which is unnamed and not very well used at all, but when they do, they've got a really good view of this area from a good 200 meters away, all the way past and beyond. So we want to provide a screen of some kind with plants. So the idea here is, in the front row we've got Lavandula angustifolia dwarf blue, which it won't grow to be very high at all, so this would be quite a sort of low level. Then I've got a slightly higher level with a bit of variety. So this is an unidentified cactus that a friend of mine, Ivano and Tracy, have given me. We've got Verbena boreaensis, verbenas, the purple ones that the bees love. We've got a Salvia gregi, which will be red. And we've got a bulbine frutescens hallmark, which is orange, beautiful orange tips to it. Then we've got a Toicrium fruticans, which is azorium, so the blue version of that. We've got a homegrown from seed, not very happy looking Euphorbia Caraceus in the background. I've transplanted that because it was getting hidden, so it's a good opportunity to put some of my transplanted plants in here. Then the feature, if you like, are the ones that provide the most height are the 2 phormiums from New Zealand, and either side of those I wanted normal coloured but attractive tall grasses. I did ask for Hyperinia hirta from Capitanios, but they didn't have any left. So they've provided me with a good substitute. And in between, I've transplanted some of the sunflowers. We've got a Aloe striatula there, and we've got a caper because it should like the rockery area. And then we've also got a Sesbania punice, which I grew from seed and which will grow to be about 2 meters tall between the phormiums. Now that is bright red. So because these phormiums don't change colour all year round, it's going to provide a lovely contrast to that.
Okay, the last bit of structural work that we've actually done on the inner garden is where the pool pump housing was, which left a huge, great big hole which I had to fill in. I used about 4 tons of gravel, and then I've also used some sand and some what we call sludge on the top to build it all up. So if you want to come with me now, I'll show you what Sally had to play with to actually start planting with. We've covered the pool. This is for winterizing the pool itself. And what I've actually done for Sally is I've brought up the layer around the pump housing here. So I've brought up the layer around the pump housing, and this next year we're going to fill with breccia stone. And I dug in for Sally a stretch down here to continue the planting for her in a minute, which she'll talk about in a minute. And also just to the right hand side, again, I raised some borders to allow Sally to plant down. So this part of the garden was the last to be structurally done, and then Sally has then filled it with the plants which she's going to talk about at the moment. And Sally likes her little goat tracks, so there was a goat track that went down to the IBCs, so I decided to make it a proper goat track, so I dug it out and put down some breccia pathway.
Yay! So glad you did that. I don't get my feet all muddy now.
No, it's good. We like that.
The considerations in this bit here that Pete made for plants is that we have a cover that we have to take off the pool. So I couldn't really put in a big shrub that was going to interfere with the corner of the pool. Otherwise, it could have got in people's way. So I've gone with a Leucophyllum langmanni, which will grow to be about 1.5 metres high and a metre in spread. Next to which is a Cistus salvifolius, which is a hardy summer drought tolerant thing with lovely white flowers, and that's slightly smaller. And then ground cover at this end I thought would be quite nice because it will spread out, and that's a Salvia bee's bliss. So with blue purpley like flowers that the bees, like the name, absolutely love. So it will go down in height here. Strategically, the main idea was to sort of go in line with the grasses, but not over dominate, not provide too much height. We quite like to be able to see out the back of the property. We like the Mulbergia capillaris so much, those grasses over there, they come out in purple, in beautiful feathery purple plumes. We liked it so much that I've bought another 5 to go here because, and they look completely different, which I thought was really interesting. I pruned those and they came out really full this year. They obviously didn't prune them at Capitanios because they're taller, but they're not as colourful. So they're going to get probably brought into line with those ones, and we'll get thicker and slightly shorter plumage from them, but they are pretty. And then on the edging, we do have a real problem with weeds here. On the end, I've got a Neonium Schwarzkopf, which really got badly hit by the freezing temperatures a week ago, and I don't know, jury's out. I have no idea if that's ever going to recover. It'd be a shame if I've lost it, because it was only its second night in the ground. But along here, I've got ground cover. So basically I've kept low. I've got a cultivated marigold as opposed to the thousands and millions of wild marigolds that we have at La Bolla. I've got 2, gosh, what were they called? I can't remember it, they'll come back to me. And then we've got sedum album, little white sedums that should trail all over this area. Stocks, night stocks, they're night stocks. Sorry, brain fog going on. I'm saving this patch for a self-seeded Salvia sclaria, which really doesn't look like very much at all. I planted one from seed last year, it went crazy, and now I'm finding lots of little babies coming up. So I've put a baby here, and it will, if it grows, it will actually fill up this whole space. So even though it looks empty, it won't be empty, fingers crossed, in about 6 months. Then we've got the giant fennel, which again, I found some wild seeds, but that was already in there. So this little bit here is what I've been able to play with. And don't go away, where Pete did my proper path, I've also planted 3 Salvia sclarias which had self-seeded in this area here, and then we've got a Begonia Madam Garland there, which is a beautiful climber, which has actually survived that brutal summer. The others died, so I'm looking forward to it. Oh yeah, the other experiment, and it is an experiment that I'm having with ground cover that can be an alternative lawn. I've got the Demondia margaritis, which are doing okay over by the washing line. And here I thought I would try with the weeds, try and suppress the weeds with Frankinia leavis. That's the one, Frankinia leavis. Let's see how it does. If it does all right, I'll put more of it in. But at the moment, I've just got 6 to try and fill this side underneath the citrus grove. What else did I put in? I've added another bulbine frutescens hallmark there. I've put some self-seeded thyme here. Sunflowers which have grown by themselves because there were loads of them last year and they've all beginning to sprout up. It's been a really mild November, and we are a bit concerned because some of the flowers are starting to flower when they shouldn't. So it's been a bit of a false second summer for a lot of the plants. They might get caught out. But I'm trying to think what else I've put in the ground really. I've moved things around. Anything that was getting squashed, I've moved. I added some Demondia margaritae to this area because now that we've finished the veranda, I can plant the little path that goes in. And as you can see, some of them are doing really well and joining up now, and others of them died back so much in the drought or the dry summer that we're sort of waiting to see whether they bounce back enough or not, or whether I'm going to have to buy completely new plants.
And Sally, do you want to explain to people why from the patio you've planted what you have around the pool area pump?
Yes, it was a strategic decision.
Yes.
Because we quite like sitting and looking out at the garden from the patio. So imagine me sat here, okay, and I'm looking down the garden, and all I could see before I put that Mulbergia capillaris in was a pool pump cover with a black thing. And then to the left of it, which you can still see, are the electrics for the pool pump. And rather disappointingly, the Aeonium Schwarzkopf was planted specifically to cover the sort of electric box on the wall. And if it dies, then I'm going to have to put something else there because...
I'm just putting the camera down to Sally's eye height.
Oh yes,
here.
you can get the exact site.
And so Sally
line of sight
can no longer see the pool pump housing.
It's gone.
But she can still see the electrical box which annoys her.
Fortunately, yes.
Oh well.
I know. There will be another plant going in. If that one doesn't survive, I will still persevere, put something else in.
And just...
any excuse to buy another plant.
And what about your little thingy down here?
Oh, that's not looking very happy, actually, Pete. That's I'm trying to remember the name of it, Euphorbia millivariegata. And Crown of Thorns is the alternative name for it. And when I got it, it was beautifully covered in red flowers. And now it's been, I would say, frost singed. It did snow here, which is really unusual, in November. So it had only been in the ground, a bit like the Aeonium Schwarzkopf, only been in the ground a day. And it got hit by the snow. And I'm afraid it's looking rather worse for wear. Whether it comes back or not, who knows. This I grew from seed. This is a Euphorbia caraceus, I think. Waiting to find out for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's where. And that was only put in the ground a year ago. We hope you're enjoying this episode and also being with us as our garden grows through these challenging start again.
Was that a bit of blah, blah, blah?
Blah, 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 blah. Okay,
blah,
let's
blah,
start
blah,
again.
blah. Take 2 blah.
2, 3. We hope you're enjoying this episode, and if you do, then please give us a thumbs up. We'd love it if you commented because we will respond, and we'd love it even more if you subscribed and followed us on our journey and enjoy watching our garden grow with us.